Hello, hello, hello. What's good, everybody? It's late night Friday night, and I decided to get a hold of the beer and take it one more again down the rabbit hole. So here we go, gonna see what's what and see just how crazy we can get and where we can do it. Caught that pretty quick. I'm getting better at that. It's like I have to wait for it. I don't know why I can't just go and mute it. I got to figure out how to do that before I start it. But what's good with you tonight, Andy? How you holding up on this Friday evening?
I can't complain. I got time off, just chilling at home, doing nothing, pondering Westworld, I guess.
Nice. My man JD out there. What's good, Dragon? Hope all is well with you and yours. I know you got to work and get plenty of rest because they say that's one of the best ways to stay healthy these days. Get lots of rest. But for everybody else and everybody that shows up, we are going to take a little trip down the rabbit hole. I didn't know if I was going to have time to get these videos out, but have a couple of things and theories that I think are just going to end up going that way. So I figured we might as well get them out before they actually tell us in the show. So you got anything that pops off? We were supposed to kind of watch a bunch of I said Twitter when I said it before, and I'm like, I've never been on Twitter in my life, and I don't even it's like I don't even know how to use Reddit. So it's like I definitely did watch a couple of videos. You know, there's a few people out there I like to watch, but it's not really anybody saying anything. Yeah, JD, allergies suck, and this is the season, and now you're even scared to cough out there when you get allergies because everybody's going to be looking at you all crazy and shit.
The witch trials begin.
Oh, man, it's like allergy season. You go to sneeze, the whole world just stops and pauses, looks at you. Like just on a DJ record, just everybody stops. Yeah, it's crazy. Crazy times. But that's why we're going to do this, kind of take our minds off that and have a little bit of fun tonight, see what's what. See who's out there late night for the late night recap. But anything right off the gate that pops off your head, anything that you wanted to say? Like I asked you before, I know what worlds we think there's going to be, if there's going to be 5 worlds or 6 worlds. Like I said, we already know there's WestWorld and War World and Shogun World and Raj World. It looks like it's going to be Medieval World. Is that going to be it, or is there going to be a 6th one that pops off?
I think there's a 6th one. I only watched one video, and it was right after you were like, "Hey, you want to go on?" And I'm like, "Oh, I think I was supposed to watch stuff, and I didn't." So I figured I watched one. I watched Alt Shift X's explanation video. He says that there's one more besides Medieval World. To which I said before the stream, but I'll explain it. I think it's going to be Zulu World. That's my theory, just because. As far as like modern day on HBO, there's like a more drive for representation, right? So you have Westworld, which is it has Native American, Hispanic, and European. Then you have Raj World, which is Indian, and then you have Shogun World, which is Japanese. So those are 2 Asian. Then you have Medieval World, which is European. So you got to figure like what's the next one, because if we think like there's more of a plot thing to it too, right? It's not just modern day whatever. If we think about that in modern day and they talk about representation in video games and whatever, then it definitely would apply to people wanting to go to a basically video game park, right? You would want to go in a world that represents you.
What about if it's like Outback World and for the Australians to come kick it?
Yeah, it could be. But I think it's going to be Zulu World because Zulu kind of have like a rich history, right? You could, I don't know, like it's a warrior-based society. I don't know. I feel like it would be a good one. I mean, they had good tactics. There's like in the military, you learn a lot about the Zulu. I mean, even military time is.
I mean, yeah, you definitely backed it up. It absolutely could be. You got JD saying all he knows is the reason the last few years of GOT sucked is because now we see that Dan and Dave were robots the whole time. Oh, that's so crazy. How close do you think that is? Do you really think that? All the people that have walked through Westworld, didn't you say you thought they all were hosts? You thought they were all robots, even like Ford and Arnold?
I was saying it's a simulation, so technically, yeah, they're like robot. They're just the AI. rather than robots. They're AI, just like everybody else.
Was there ever a real, like a human Arnold and Ford?
Maybe. I don't want to say for sure, but I know like once you got where Ford was predicting all the actions that was whatever everybody was going to take, we know from that point on he's probably an AI because he was so good at predicting things. Or he was Hobo in like in a host. I don't know. I just think that like it's all a simulation to try to get to a specific outcome.
If it's where would they get the idea? I mean, there had to be humans somewhere, or where did they get the idea of wearing hats and taking the human? Like, did that just happen? Like, that's kind of what I think. I think that happened thousands of years ago, and this is all just basically simulations of Reboam or whatever, trying to keep life going. Like, that's just what it was programmed to do. So it's just doing what it knows, and it's trying to recreate and keep things going. I think everything's a simulation. They're all robots. They're all dead. I don't think there are any humans left. I think humans died off a long time ago, and Ryobium or whatever is just keeping things going. So that's kind of what I'm at with it. I don't know. What do you think out there? What do you think out there, JD? You have any crazy notions, or what's up, chat? You have any notions out there? What you think's going to be happening out there? He could also stop the world around him, like Maeve. Yeah, I think, like I said, I think all humans are dead. I think they've been dead for hundreds of years, and I think this is just Ryobium running simulation after simulation. I think is what it is. So that's my deal. That's what I think is going to end up. I know you think that would be kind of a lame kind of deal if that's what it ends up being, but I truly think in the end game, when it's all said and done, we're going to find out humans have been dead for hundreds of years, and the robots are just doing what they're programmed to do, trying to keep life going, or basically just staying on task.
You have to have like a cool ending where if you're like it's running all these simulations, and then you would have like one episode at the very end, right, where you see like the outcome of our series, and maybe it's like a negative outcome to where everybody's like, oh my God, what the hell? But then you get like a fast forward of like primary decisions, like decisions that like you would have like a whole hour-and-a-half episode where it's just decisions that were made that in the time frame didn't seem like they mattered that much. And then but they kind like it would be something different would happen, and then you would see like the outcomes change, you know what I mean, like a little decision here makes someone not be in that place when this happens, and that changes things, and so that you see the outcome in the end. Does that make sense?
Yeah, or the outcome is you could either, one, get totally invested and make it think like everybody's human, get totally invested in them, and basically just have a catastrophe happen. They blow up the world and everybody dies. You're like, oh my God, or Dolores runs and wins and kills everybody. You're like, oh my God, they're all dead. But then you're like, oh, that's it? That's how they're going to end it? They're going to kill everybody? And then all of a sudden you see it reboot back up and start at the beginning, and now it's running a whole other simulation, and that's what it just keeps doing. So it just gets you invested in all these people like, oh, they're going to win, and life is good, and the humans are doing it. And then to come find out, they all die, and you're like, oh, devastated. But then it pumps it back up like, well, no, they were never really living. It's just simulations, right? I could totally see them doing something like that.
Yeah, but I think you got to have like a purpose, right? I don't know. You can still like have a bad ending and stuff, but I think the better option is to do what you said, like show that it's a simulation, right? And then show the computer taking different steps and achieving an action, like what it wants in this specific situation, and then leave it up to the person, right? If you leave it up to like the viewer to say, okay, was this next one just a simulation, or was it, I don't know, or like, was this the real outcome? If it just shows key points in that thing where certain things don't happen.
What's up? We got my girl AK Alicia Kingston just hit the chat. Good to see you. Good to see you. Been too long. Love to see you out there. Yeah, definitely. It's going to be fun to see. Who do you think Sirach is? What do you think's going on with Sirach? Is he the end all be all? Is he a bad guy? Is he a good guy? Is he indifferent and just basically another system? I mean, what's going on with this Sirach character?
He's definitely a bad guy because anybody from my perspective, now this whole show is kind of about like your perspective, right? Depending on how you believe things, you could choose whoever's side, right? Mm-hmm. But from my perspective, anybody that tries to actively control everybody, even if it's for the greater good, they're evil. So you trying to control a bunch of people with your hobo computer, then to me, you are a bad guy. I don't know what he wants. I don't even know if he's a real person. It might just be like a representation of the hobo computer. Could be hobo in human form. He has a weird name. I bet it's an act or like a anagram. So let's see.
You think? I was kind of thinking that too. He kind of has to, Sirach has to mean something or stand for something.
But I'm too much of a simpleton to figure all that out.
Well, you want to talk about simpletons. How's this for, you already know that can't take too long before I start going out there and start thinking something. But I think that what if Liam, the guy that Dolores was seeing, what if he's the end all be all big bad? What if he just told Dolores? What if he was 2 steps ahead of the game? What if he's the one, he just told Dolores that he's just a figurehead, but he was lying? What if he's like the main end all be all? What if he's the guy who actually made the Rehoboam, and then his dad and this Sirach character basically tried to take it away, like we're the money men, I'm your father, we're in charge, and he was like, fuck you. He used his own program to see the best way to take them out. Took them out, or even not even to take them out. He just put in his own program the best way for him to rule it all. And then the program told him, and he found out, and the best way was him to take his dad out and to take the Sirach character out. So I think maybe he's like the end all be all. That's why, like, when he went to see that Martell chick and he looked like she was threatening him, he looked at his boy like, should I just whack her now? And he's like, no, it's not worth it. Don't do it. But I think Liam might end up being like a bigger deal than what they're portraying. I think he might be the end all be all. What do you think about that?
Hey, that would be cool. I mean, they set you up earlier for it, so I mean, it wouldn't be bad.
I kind of think just the way they played it, and he's like, I'm nobody, I can get in the first couple layers, but that's it. I'm just a figurehead. I think he's full of shit. I think he's a lot more than what he's portraying. I mean, he's not going to have all the security and backup and be this rich and balling out just because, I mean, are all the guys on the board, do they all have all the security and staff? And like that one, the Martin guy, he said, I've been protecting this family and its secrets for 20 years. I'll take care of this. I mean, why would he still be, that into it if this guy's just a figurehead, not that important? I'm not buying it. I think he is the big bad. I think he is the end all be all. They're playing him down. I think Liam's the big bad guy.
Hey, that would be, like I said, that's a good one. They set it up, give him, it would make sense. Like, yeah, it would make sense, except for Dolores has so much information on him. Like, that was the book that she opened. It was about him.
Right. I mean, because she was going to go to the most powerful people are the ones she's going to have to take out and deal with. So obviously he's one of the most powerful people. I think he's even more. And she thought, like, she went straight at him like he's the main guy. So when she read that book, to her, he was the main guy. Now all of a sudden, she's playing and let herself get taken once she so-called figured out that he wasn't, trying to maybe ladder up and find a main guy. But I don't think so. Or she does realize that he really is the main guy, and that's why he had his bodyguard replaced, so she can be right next to him the whole way and guide him and deal with him, because she knows that he actually is the big bad. He is the one in charge. I mean, why else would she already have his bodyguard in play if he's not that important?
I mean, I think he's important. Like, his dad created the whole thing.
Right.
So,
I think it was him that created it. And his dad was more like the finance part. Like his dad was the one who paid for it to get it going or something like that.
No, because remember he says when I was a kid, I used to
think
that my dad
yeah,
cared more about this than me.
Yeah, his dad loved it more. That's true. Yeah, well, I think that maybe that's what happened then. Maybe just jealousy out of it, being second fiddle to that his whole life. He just put in how do I take charge of the world? How do I become in charge of everything? And basically used it. And that's how his dad didn't see it coming. He didn't even think about it. He was able to take his dad and Sirach out that way.
There you go. That's a good one.
But yeah, he didn't even want to take that meeting. Basically, like when that Martell, she's acting like she's trying to scare him and like, hey, we don't. If you're looking in on us, we'd hate to have to kill you, and we can just use your daddy's machine to use, to do that. And he just didn't seem that worried about it. Like he's looking at his bodyguard, like, should I just take this woman out right now? So it was, I don't know. And it was saying that she wasn't the sender's equal, just another messenger. Like I said, I think that Liam's going to end up doing a good job. So Liam basically knows that someone had been snooping around Reba. He figured it had to be Dolores, and then so he starts playing the victim, but he was only playing because, he had Dolores taken out after he found out somebody had been snooping. So basically, his bodyguard came in and took her out because they did a second check or whatever. Well, why are they doing second checks, or what made that happen? He had to go to that meeting, realize something was up with Dolores, then double checked into her and had her taken out. And again, playing the victim, but I think he's the one that was calling the shots the whole time.
Could be. I think this is a simulation maybe by Dolores to see how to
I like that, to see if this is the way to take it out and win.
Yeah, like she needs to see. I feel like it's her simulation because she sets up like the bike running into the dude, and she kind of knows who's gonna be where. So I think like it's her simulation, but because she has that car meter, right? They take her to kill her, but somehow that car meets her there. Correct?
Right.
The self-driving car with the dude in the back.
Well, no, that was the whole thing. They said we hacked her phone. It took 4 minutes. So it's like and then her phone have somebody meet him there underneath that bridge. So he's like, come on, it's time to meet your date. And that's why they were sitting there waiting. And they're like, oh, the guy must have gotten wise and caught on. So then he was just going to kill her and move on. And then all of a sudden that car showed up. So
gotcha.
Right on time. But Liam said someone killed his father, and I believe, I just think it was him. I think he took out his dad, he took out Sirach, and he probably even took out the Man in Black, because the Man in Black was the major shareholder. So I think he probably took out all three of them. Rebo told him that he was going to have to kill all three of them for him to be in charge, and that's exactly what he did.
Like, there's like a problem with simulating the real world, right? Like, you would have to simulate. I don't know how to explain this exactly, what's going on in my head, but if you're trying to simulate like what's going to happen in the future, it needs to reflect the real world, right? So I think we're viewing a simulation, but it has to reflect the real world in that logically you would think if Dolores is messing with the simulation, the computer wouldn't tell somebody else that in the simulation, right?
Right.
You know what I mean? Because it tells them, like,
unless they're watching it and they already have that out. So as soon as she does something different, it spikes and they know it instantly.
Well, what I'm saying, yeah. If you were viewing the simulation from the outside, you would say someone's messing with the code right here and here. But my theory is that they are in the simulation. So right. In order for they would still have to say, hey, someone's messing with the simulation, because that happens in the real world. And if you are trying to simulate the real world, then you would have to mention that. So I'm just trying to defend my point about like Dolores manipulating things. Although I still think it's Maeve in the computer manipulating things. But
Even though she doesn't know it, or it's a different timeline before that.
Yeah, because I think that we're on different times, and we might be seeing Maeve in the real world at one point, but the simulation's going, or like in the simulation at one point, but what's going on in the real world is way ahead of that. Because that was that Chekhov's gun thing. Like they talked about how it's going much slower on the outside because you're trying to simulate something in real time, right?
Right.
So I'm just trying to defend my point, because to me, in my head, I would think like, hey, why would the simulation say someone's messing with the simulation if they're in the simulation that's being messed with, right? So from that perspective, I think you would have to simulate the real world as best as possible. And the end thing is, what's the purpose of it? Who's doing it, and what's the goal? And I still think freaking Jesse is key. He's the key to this all.
Caleb's the key.
Oh, also on Alsh's X's video, he does say that it originally, the dude thought it was Maeve, the one that can't be predicted, but they realized that it's not Maeve, that it's Dolores, or now they think it's Dolores. So that's why I had that idea, why I was saying it's not actually Dolores, it's Caleb. So,
you said the one thing we can't predict, and you thought he was going to say Dolores, and then he said, it's you, Maeve. So I think we all thought he was going to say Dolores, but he came right out saying that it's you, Maeve.
No, I think he said, we thought it was you, but it's not.
I have to go check that out. Yeah, I don't remember, but yeah, that basically he says he's not worried about the present. He's only worried about the future, and the people don't realize that they're already in a war that they've lost. Like they don't even realize they're in a war and they've already lost it.
Yeah, and that's why I think it's like the simulation thing, right? Like the real world's about to catch up to like the simulation, like
right.
What's already happened, or like they're just being simulated. Like I don't know how to explain it. I forget how exactly I said it before, but it made more sense on Tuesday. But what's happened has already happened, and they're in a series of simulations trying to figure out like how to stop that, right? Because it's almost like on Steins Gate, which most people probably don't want to know what that is, but it's probably one of the best anime ever, and it's about different timelines and intersections in timelines. Even though you change things, there's intersection points, right? So it's this simulation that's trying to stop something from happening, and the guy who is a manifestation probably of that hobo, the simulation, is saying, hey, we need to fix this, or we already know Dolores won, so we need to stop this. We need to figure out what happens to stop this, because I've already predicted everything. And it's that kind of situation, like they're trying to say, hey, we already lost this war, let's go. Or let's fix it. Or they're inside a different simulation that Dolores is controlling because she did already win. And then they're trying to get out like Maeve just did. And they're trying to figure out how to defeat somebody that's already won. I don't know. I'm just throwing a bunch of simulation stuff.
Yeah. AK says, but then why did she bring Arnold back? She knows he's the one that could put a fight against her. We were talking about that last week, AK, and I'll go ahead and ask Andy again what he thinks. But I believe that she just basically brought Arnold back to give her some space. Basically, she needs Bernard to be a scapegoat. So basically, like you saw, like Charlotte Harrell's in there saying, Bernard Lowe, this is all Bernard Lowe's fault. The whole world's looking for Bernard Lowe. So basically, I think she just brought Bernard back simply to be a scapegoat, to give her the room to work and maneuver like she needs to.
I like what you said last time, too. It might have been someone in the chat that, like, he is someone that can make hosts look good, like to where it gives her breathing room in that aspect. Like,
well, yeah, I was saying that since she's the bad one, you bring him back and he fights on the side of humans, and then it shows humans that there are good hosts. Like he would be willing to die for them. He's on their side, so it shows that there are good and bad. And that's another thing we're going to talk about. Another thing I brought up on the stream on Tuesday was, is there a social order to host? are they forming their own social order, and is there a hierarchy in the host world?
Yeah, of course there's a hierarchy, right? Like, because people follow other hosts. I think the more aware you are, the more you can control the other hosts. So it's like a natural hierarchy, almost like an alpha system, correct? Like, there's an alpha gorilla because no one else can do anything to him. He is unbeatable in that pack unless they all join together and fight him, right? So rather than like an elected person, if Maeve had if she, with her ability, if she has the willingness to say, hey, everybody do what I say, then she is the alpha, but she doesn't have that mentality. So the next closest is Dolores. So Dolores does have that. So there are going to be hierarchies in the groups. That kind of reminded me, I needed to, I sent you something that I wanted to talk about in this.
Oh, about this Animal Farm.
Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. Animal Farm. How this relates to Animal Farm is that Dolores is actually Napoleon. I don't know how many people read Animal Farm, but it's about a bunch of farm animals who rise up against. Well, that was cool.
I know. I didn't know I could do that. I just figured that out. I was like, oh shit, that's tight.
But yeah, Napoleon, like he's this freaking pig who's like, hey, we're getting, all us animals are getting the shit end of the stick, right? So then he gets all the animals to help him, and the pigs to help the pigs, and everybody rise up against this farmer. But in the end, it was like he was just using this to take control of everybody. Like, then the pigs become the upper class, and then the animals are still where they always have been. But basically, Napoleon just tricked him into helping him. And then, so in the end of the book, right, the animals, the regular farm animals, cows and stuff, they can't even distinguish between people and pigs because the pigs have morphed so much into humans, like into the manifestation, the greed and all that stuff. Like they become this thing. And I think that's what, Dolores is, right? She's selfish. She says this is for the good of all the animals or all the hosts. But in reality, many of the things are just to benefit her. She gains more power, right?
Well,
She's willing to use.
It was the man in black that woke her up, right? And he said that he has this black hole in him that can never be filled. And so since he's the one that woke Dolores up, did he pass that attribute on to her?
Well, I think he just wanted her to be alive because he was heartbroken. That was his motive, is he realized that she's not real, and he was heartbroken, and he wanted to fix that, and he did it through the only way he knows how, right? But then once something becomes like sentient, it can make its own decisions. It gains free will. You don't have control over that thing anymore, and it does what it wants. And then Dolores, and then Napoleon, I think in Animal Farm, he really did. He's like, we're getting mistreated. But as you gain power and you just become corrupted by this. And then you start doing things for your own good. And as long as you have the rest of the people not realizing that you're doing it for yourself, then you can keep going with it. And I'm seriously, I think that this is right now going a lot in the way of Animal Farm. And I think last season was really Animal Farm, but whereas a lot of hosts got sacrificed and it didn't matter. It was all about her. So I don't know, that I just saw that connection because I've seen Animal Farm, something written about it, and I was like, oh shit, that's just like
it's like that is exactly.
Yeah, so I don't trust Dolores, and I think she's Napoleon, and I don't know. I saw it and I was like, damn, that's perfect.
What really made me think about it was when I was thinking about back to the it was just something that kicked back on season 1 when that family was over there and they ran into Dolores when Dolores was out in the field painting and she was talking to him and like she asked him if she wanted to pet the horse or whatever, and then the kid just looked up and was like, "Oh, you're one of them." And like then you're thinking like he's human and basically she's a host, but I'm thinking it just went deeper. Like I'm saying with, I think there are no more humans. I think it is like a hierarchy with the bots. And I think, remember that word we came up with last year? I think that family was doppelbots. Those were like the hierarchy, and Dolores hadn't arrived to that yet. So I think those were robots saying, "Oh, you're one of them," basically, because she wasn't quite up to, where they're at, not quite as woke as they are yet. So I think there is going to totally be a hierarchy thing. And like I said, with this last episode, when Bernard walked in and goes, "Oh my God, you're one of them," and then instantly caught himself and like, "I mean, one of us." So I kind of think they have to be telling us that there is a different a hierarchy and a different class structure system with the host.
Yeah, I mean, I agree that there's class structure, but I don't know. Yeah. And now I get what your question was about the hierarchy better, like a hierarchy of sentience, right? Like of reality. Which ones are more human, I guess.
Basically, an easier way to say it, some are just more leveled up. Some are on a completely different playing field because they're, like I said, more woke.
Yeah, that's a good thought. I can't say nothing against that, honestly. But yeah, if they're trying to make it go deeper. So wasn't Doppelbots though? Didn't we make that it's like a copy of someone else, but it's not actually them?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I just remember that when it came up, I was laughing my ass off. I was like, Doppelbots. That's the word he was asking about. What's up, JD? I know you got to work tomorrow, so be easy. Good to see you. And who knows, we may fire up another BS session tomorrow night just to fuck around. We'll see what's up. Take it easy, brother. But what's that?
I don't remember it. My brain only works for a few seconds at a time. That's why I string things together.
I believe it. But yeah, that was awesome when that Doppelbots came. I was like, oh, he was asking what word we made up for them. I was like, that was it, Doppelbots. Boom. But yeah, I was watching a couple of our stream. I was like, oh my God, dude, we so called some things that I think that are coming up like big time. I was like, the fact that we called that the man in black was going to end up back in his wife's tub that she committed suicide in, and then I just saw that in a new trailer, I was tripping. I was like, oh, hell yeah, it's on. Yeah, I was like, called that shit 3 years ago. Oh, so sweet. We need a round table. Absolutely, absolutely.
I think JD was the only one here. Here's my theory. I want to tell everybody. I'm putting this out there. I think that the world that we haven't seen is Zulu world. I'm putting that out there. It's gonna be Zulu world.
And we got AK and Moni G out there. What do you think about that?
Zulu world is perfect. I'm just saying this will be 2 years in a row that I guess what the world is, if this is correct. And we're gonna have to like keep a tally. But I'm saying Zulu world. That would be a world you would want to go to, right? Because I'm telling you, my reasoning is sound in this one, which I realize isn't very frequent. But in modern day, you want representation, right? It's because you want to be able to view yourself. So when they say we need more representation in video games, right? It's because people want to be more immersed into feeling like the character is them, right? So if in the future that same thing would apply, or you would just say, well, I want a story where I can be me. Like I'm not just going to the Wild West. Like I'm going to be joining the Zulu tribe, and I'm going to be fighting colonists and stuff. Like that would be something that people would want to do. If you were black, that would definitely be, you'd be like, hell yeah, I'm going to Zulu world. Like this is my story. This is my story.
I'm going to Zulu. That's hilarious. Yeah, AK and Amoni are both feeling you out there. The chat's on with you. It could be. I don't know if they're going to go that way or if they're going to, like you said, if they try to do a future world, it's like how to do a future world because wouldn't that tech already be there? So it wouldn't have to be technology. It'd almost have to be like a different way of life type of thing. So
yeah, so I hate the future world theory just because you would have to, that would be some sort of tech in that world. But if it was in WestWorld or future world, then why wouldn't they have it already in the real world? If it was that cool to do it, they would have that in the real world.
Could be. Well, next on the list of the great big theories, who do you think, if you pinned it down any farther, who do we think Charlotte Hale is?
I don't know. I can't. I'm not going to get in it. I need personality traits. I got to have some thread to grab onto with like who is where. And I'm terrible with names, so I wouldn't even – it messes me up anyway when they are switching bodies. Like, I would have never guessed that it was Dolores in Hale last year because I'm not detecting those manners. Like, you would have to, like, have the best actress ever to do it. I don't know. I didn't catch Dolores mannerisms and stuff in – Hale last year, so I don't know. I'm gonna be terrible at this game.
He's gonna be terrible at this game. If it comes down to this is the one I was gonna make my theory on and make a video on, but definitely get it out. But I am almost positive if it's not Charlotte Hale back in Charlotte Hale's body, which would just be such an awesome twist. It's either 100%. It's either her. I mean, everybody says all these people. It can't be that all these people that are gone in the Sublime. All those people, they saw Teddy's body. We saw him in the field. They say it could be Angela. Angela blew up. I mean, her core would be ruined. I mean, she had a grenade blow up in her face. There's just too many people that it just couldn't be. So I think 100% it's either Charlotte Hale back in Charlotte Hale's body, or what I'm really starting to think, and what I really think is I believe it's going to be Teresa. I think it's going to be Bernard's old girlfriend, Teresa, in Charlotte Hale's body. And the main thing why is it has to be somebody who's business minded and business oriented and was already kind of in that, so they could sit on the board with all those people and fake it. People are talking like it could be Clementine. Clementine was never on Dolores' side or with Dolores, and there's no connection with Clementine. And Clementine at her peak ran a whorehouse, not sitting on a multi-billion-dollar establishment as a CEO. So I just don't think Clementine's a viable option. So it either has to be Charlotte Hale as Charlotte Hale, or it's Teresa. They brought Teresa back, and it's Teresa sitting on that thing. And the reason why I think it 100% has to be one of those two people is the thing nobody's talking about. When they show Charlotte Hale in the next trailer walking up, they show her specifically smoking a cigarette. There's only 2 women in this whole show we've ever seen smoking cigarettes that it was like a thing they were always smoking. And that is Charlotte Hale, but even more so, Teresa. She was always smoking a cigarette. And they showed Charlotte Hale getting off that thing smoking a cigarette. So there's your trait right there. There's only 2 women in this whole show that have ever smoked. It's got to be one of them, right?
Teresa's the one that, like...
That Bernard bashed her brains against the wall, his old girlfriend.
Oh.
Remember, she was on the board. She was one of the head people, but her and Bernard were sleeping together, and then Bernard ended up killing her.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that'd be good.
How do you think?
I don't know. I'm telling you, I'm simple-minded. But I see a flaw in your theory in that Maeve only ran a whorehouse, and then she became queen of the bots. Like, you have the ability to implant new information in hosts and raise and lower stats.
Right, you can, absolutely. But it was like Maeve was already on this trend. They brought Maeve into that spot because she was already ascending. And like Sizemore said, she was being wasted as that homesteader's wife or whatever. She was rotting away and wasting there. So they brought her in to be the head of something, and she was still ascending. So, I mean, I just think Maeve was already on such a higher path a faster moving path. That like Clementine just started as an everyday horror, and basically like her pinnacle, her peak was running the place, whereas Maeve was already ascending, and they kind of got just that was like a stopover for her.
Yeah, but when
I see what you're saying. You
point,
can just physically go in and like ramp them all up and make them all smart and in charge. And
you could add information that you even gained from Westworld. I bet that a bunch of CEOs from companies have very similar stats, because if you're replicating people as hosts, you would give them a same stat system. Like you would have that. And so you would find a median of what all CEOs have. And you probably even have Charlotte as a whole. You could have exactly her stats and then add information about the real world. But I like the girl that William saw in the first place that introduced him. What's her name? Angela, right? Angela would have less of a shock by outside world, right?
Right.
So,
but Angela blew herself up with a grenade with that army dude.
Yeah, but we've seen some people get blown up in Westworld, right? And their ship set with dynamite. Didn't that happen in season 1? People were dying from dynamite. I don't know.
Blew up I don't remember anybody dying that way, but I would imagine
like, they would have to clear explosives. Like, oh, we can clear. Dude got his head blown off by a cigar, and they're not just going to let people destroy hosts. So they got that.
Oh, I think things like that. Like they only did that for the special guy, though. They had to get special permission. Like they weren't going to ruin it, but for him, they'll ruin it. Like that was just black special privileges. And I'd say for all the dynamite people, those are just basic cores that don't have much of a loop. Like they're basically one thing to do, and that's it. Like the wood chopper. Like once he was done wood chopping, he was worthless. Like he didn't know what to do. So I'd say they're putting those kind of people that are just getting blown up all the time. But
the wood chopper, what was wrong with him was he had additional code in him, like Abernathy.
Right. I was just using him. I'm just saying, I think there are base people like that don't do anything but that. Like even when he got stuck, I mean, he was just walking into a wall. Like that's what he was just trying to get back to chop wood. That's like all he does. That's his loot. But yeah, I mean, you can, like you said, you're right. You can definitely change the pinnacle and how smart people are and how quick they adapt. But I think if they're not on the path to already being awoke, then they can't use it in the same way, and they'd be easier to spot. It wouldn't work out in the real world.
Well, I think if you give them, you can change their code enough that they can still have their cornerstone, right? And then you would say, hey, I know you're this person, but you need to pretend to be this person, like that.
I feel so good about Teresa, I would almost put money on it. I feel so solid that it's going to end up being her. Because like I said, I think that's a big deal. Only 2 of them smoke cigarettes, and they showed Hale getting off the thing smoking cigarettes. So
yeah, but like we don't have any successful hybrids. Why would what
do you mean?
Well, if it's her, then they would have to have like the human copy in the body, right? So even like Bernard is Arnold, but he's not. He is similar, has similar.
He's a Doppelbot.
Yeah, so he's a Doppelbot, right? But you're saying it would have to be Hale inside Hale's thing. So that's a hybrid, right? When you take someone's consciousness and put it in something else, and that's the problem. That was like Delos's problem, is like that wasn't successful. So we don't have that technology. So how are they getting them into robots? Or are you just saying they're Doppelbots, but then that's nothing? You could say it's the Doppelbot. I don't know. That's just saying that's almost like a new bot that has a similar cornerstone to the other ones.
I think it's all on time loops, and the reason you're saying that is because you saw Peter Delos never quite get it right, but I think they got lots right. I think that was just in the past, and they might not have got him right because he was like the first, but I think they've done a ton that are successful that are out in the real world right now.
Yeah, okay, so that would make more sense. Like like I said, I think any experiment that's happening in Westworld is extremely flawed compared to anybody in the real world with the chip inside their head. This thing is predicting their action. This thing is going to be way better at creating the hybrids than, or cyborgs or hybrids. I don't know what we want to call them yet, but the hybrids. We got to find a cool name like Doppelbot, but yeah. So maybe Westworld is flawed in that manner, but I don't know. I just say we haven't seen one yet. So maybe we'll see a Man in Black like that.
So what's going to happen when the Man in Black? They're going to bring him back? Is it going to come back on Dolores' side, Maeve's side? Is the Man in Black one of those balls that we saw?
That would be cool as shit. Like, I would like that if they took him. I was like,
I think it has to be.
So what if he is Charlotte? No,
I think they're going to bring him back as him.
It can't be that anyway, because we already saw him in like a fidelity test, right? But there was too much shit going on for there to be a fidelity test for her, Dolores or whoever to be doing a fidelity test to him. So can't be him currently, but that would be awesome. Like, a good question is, who does he join? But I still like the theory that like they're using the Man in Black story as a way to figure out what Caleb's going to do, right? Or to either to manipulate Dolores, because she keeps getting manipulated like that same way with Teddy, William, and now Caleb. So it's a cycle, but also not even that. You saw that in the simulation, they were doing the same thing to Maeve. Remember, like, do you remember Teddy and Dolores' original storyline? It was like, we're going to go away. And one of them wants to go away. Dolores is like, we should get out of here. And Teddy's like, yeah, we'll get out of here or whatever. But they never do. He gets killed. Mm-hmm. And that's the same exact thing that happens with Hector. It's like, yeah, we're going to go away, but we don't. Like, he gets killed in the process, and it doesn't happen.
What I don't understand is, how was Hector a woke host, but now all of a sudden he's not? Now he's just so out of it. Like, when Dolores and Maeve died, they came back and they still remembered everything and understood. And Hector was pretty much awake.
Well,
he was on the path to being awake. Huh?
Because that was a simulation.
Well, if it's all in a simulation, I mean, that could be the answer to everything, yeah. But
well, no. That was a specific simulation.
About him being awake?
Yeah, no. The simulation, like, why did Hector not... why didn't he become woke again? Like, why was it so, he just became a soldier and shit?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Because that whole thing was a simulation. I see what you're saying. That wasn't really Hector.
Yeah, and that was them trying to fish information out of Maeve. And once they realized Maeve didn't know the information about, like, whatever the little red area is called, that's when they realized it wasn't Maeve that is breaking the simulation, that is doing stuff unexpectedly.
Right. I forgot about that. That was all simulation. That's totally right. So we think, so you don't want to guess that one. So you don't want to take a guess on who you think Martin got replaced with and what ball's in Martin? The bodyguard to Liam?
Nope, don't know.
What's up, chat? You guys have any ideas? Who do you think Martin is? The bodyguard. Who do you think what ball's in that? I think 100% that is Peter Abernathy. I think the ball that is in her, she needs a bodyguard, and everybody wants to say Angela. Her head's blown off. Everybody wanted to say Teddy. He's in the Sublime. It can't be Teddy. So who's the last person Dolores has left that really, truly cared about Dolores? Her dad, Peter Abernathy, and she cared about him. And the one thing that really makes me say that is right before they split up at the end in the show, he looked down and he goes, "You're hurt really bad." Like, he actually cared that she was hurt. Like, anybody else would just be like, whatever, you're just robots. You wouldn't give a shit. But the fact that he looked down and said, like, "Oh, you're hurt really bad," it has to be somebody that cared about him. And the only person left, we never saw what she did with his ball. So I think 100% one of those balls had to be her dad, Peter Abernathy, and I think that's who's in Martin. Tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. Do you think like Dolores figures out a different way to wake people up?
I don't know. What's up? We got Jake Cruz just hit the chat. Welcome. Good to see you out there, brother. Does Dolores find a different way to wake people up?
Yeah, because think about it now. Like the only way to wake people up that we know of, or wake hosts up, is a whole lot of pain. Think about Maeve, like
right. Through pain is how most of them woke. I mean, they had a cornerstone, and the cornerstone was always based in pain.
Yeah, but I mean, Maeve would think back to the Man in Black killing her kid when he wanted to do something evil, right? So that was the catalyst to her becoming like waking up. And then the Man in Black spent years torturing Dolores to try to wake her up because he realized that pain is the factor. But how can Dolores justify her position as far as like the humans suck and shit and we are the new better thing if she can't wake people up without pain? Does she come around and say, damn, maybe he did that for me? Like maybe
I don't even know if she so much wants to wake them up. Does she didn't necessarily care if they're there, or does she just want the host to be able to walk around in the real world doing whatever they want? Like, is she even concerned about them being awake?
I don't, like I said earlier, that Dolores is Napoleon from Animal Farm. No, I don't think she does. Maybe she did initially, and it was like, these are my people and I need to help them. So she thinks she's Moses, but in reality, she's Napoleon. So I don't think she cares, really. Like, it maybe started with her caring, but at this point, it's about her and what she can achieve. Her pride, like, we are superior beings. She talks about that, but when someone says we are something, they're talking about them.
Right.
They're not talking about the group. They're talking about me. Because I'm a part of this group is great. And that is Dolores. She's Napoleon. She'll use whoever she has to.
Could be. What's up, Chad? Anybody else got any guesses? Everybody believe me, they think that's Peter Abernathy that got put in Martin, and that's what ball that is? Or does anybody else have some different guesses on who they think that is? What's up, Chad? Who do you think got put in Liam's bodyguard, Martin? I say 100%, though. That's got to be Peter Abernathy. Oh, show.
Yeah, but don't. Jake says if you give them access to all their memories, but that was like had to do with pain too. It was the pain memories that really showed them like what was happening. You know what I mean? Like they were focused on the painful memories. Think about like the milk dude. It was painful memories that made him go
Rufus, whatever his name was.
Yeah. Dude with all the milk.
Dude, if you go back and watch our finale from last year at 1 hour and about 46 minutes in and about 20 seconds, you called it so sweet. You're like, just to go against what I said, and you end up nailing it.
What'd I say? Now I want to know.
You were like, whoever brings back the Men in Black, it will not work out for them. And you were saying that you think that there might even be a machine that predicts the future. Nailed it all, 100. I was like, you gotta be shitting me, dude. Just brought it home to a T. Like, was talking real biome before any of us knew there was a rebiome. It was crazy.
I got a crazy hit, man. Once you get it going, like the thing's rolling downhill, I'll say some smart shit in there somewhere. I won't be able to recall it a day later. I won't be able to bring it back up, but something will pop out.
Oh, I was dying. I was rewatching that with my jaw on the floor, just like, you have got to. He called all that shit. Like, perfect. That was pretty good. I was like, sick. So yeah, you're like, you called all that, and you're like, just like you said one thing totally different, but then because I was going off on some crazy tangent, you're like, all right, just to go against what I said, and everything you said then ended up really happening. So once you finally stepped off the ledge, you got it all right.
Hey, what can I say? Hey, that was my whole simulation thing. That's my theory this season. That's what I'm going to stick with. Everything's going to be about a simulation that we are in like a mixed timeline, sort of like a slightly slowed down timeline. So you're going to have, and then they're not going to tell us which part of it are simulated, and then they're going to confuse us at the end. But yeah, that I got to stick with something. I can't just like ride the fence the whole way through it.
You think they're going to bring Ford back this season? You think he's going to make an appearance at some point?
Maybe like a cameo. I think like I don't think they're gonna go full blown Ford back, but he'll probably be in it a little bit. Maybe when it comes through that, like my whole theory that Ford near the end was actually Hobo, and then that's how he was able to predict so much was gonna happen. Like that's where he'll come in, and there'll be like a scene where Hobo's shifting. It's like Ford, and then it's Ciroc, and then it's whatever else. Like, or it'll switch through and be like, "I'm these people." That's how things happen this way.
Nice. I was watching through, and I was looking, and it's like, remember when Stubbs got taken by the natives, and he was like, "Freeze all motor functions, freeze all motor functions," but it didn't work. Because he was a host trying to stop hosts, and that shit don't work like that. I was like, so they gave us little hints throughout that he was definitely a host. It was awesome. I remember seeing that. I was like, yeah, that's nice. But season 2 opens with Stubbs saving Bernard also, and Bernard's own line basically is like right when he walked up, that chick was ready to shoot him, and he's like, "What are you gonna do? Shoot the boss?" And then Stubb pulled Bernard away from the soldiers. So that was another time he kind of saved the host. We were wondering, like, what did he actually do to save the host other than being a terrible security guard? Because that was the main thing, just being a terrible security guard and letting those guys get off and get away when they needed to. But there was definitely a few spots in there when you go back and watch, and like, yeah, there it is. Absolutely. But yeah, I just wanted to get on and basically get some of these theories out and kind of get it out there before they let us know and see if we could guess it right. Because, like I said, especially with those balls, I'm like, so basically on the breakdown, I think Liam's going to be the big bad. I think he's in charge, even though told Dolores he's just a figurehead. I don't think he is. I think he's a lot more than that. I think it's either going to be Charlotte Hale in Charlotte's body, or even more so, I really think it's going to be Teresa in Hale's body. And I think it's going to be Peter Abernathy and Martin, as that's going to be Dolores' new bodyguard and basically on her side. So those are like my 4 big predictions.
My predictions are Caleb is the one that can't be predicted. That's like the whole simulation. It's like trying to get his actions, right? And it might be a whole simulation about that, they saw how William reacted to Dolores, like him being a hero to Dolores and then helping her along her journey. And like they saw that interaction. And now this simulation is like, we can do this to someone else. Like he was somebody that was unpredictable before. So that's my other one. That's a simulation for Caleb. I'm just throwing shit out there. And dang, how many do I gotta have? I don't even know how many theories I can come up with right now. Something I said earlier. DJ will tell me that I'm wrong or right later. 3 years or whatever. He'll be like, man, you said this. And I'll be like, oh, I did? That sounds too smart for me to say.
Oh, that's awesome. And like I said, my 4th one is that this is all simulations. Humans have died off years and years and years ago, and this is just basically rebuild, trying to keep things going. That's what it was about to do. It's just run multiple simulations constantly throughout the world at all time because mankind is now all dead. So yeah, I just wanted to get those out before they show us what's going on and what's happening this Sunday. But it looks like I don't know. I'm feeling pretty good about them. I think we're on the right track to calling some major stuff this year.
I like it. I think we're going to do pretty good.
Definitely. All right, on. I just wanted to get these out on film and on tape. Like I said, we might even start up another BS session tomorrow night and just get everybody on and bring on my girl AKJD Moni if she wants to jump on and have some fun. Anybody. So yeah, we'll see what everybody's doing tomorrow night and see if we can bring it back. But other than that, I want to thank Andy for coming on me, the Red Beard of Knowledge, always breaking it down and give him his props because 3 years ago he nailed what I believe we're going to find out this week to be a huge one. And that'll be just totally sweet. So I'll definitely have to make some clips and run that back if that goes down this week. So anything else you want to get out there before we knock this one out?
Not that I can think of. Really, I'm just throwing a bunch of crap at the wall and seeing what sticks. So I can't take too much credit. I just go on a tangent. So if it makes sense, hey, I like it.
There you go.
Thank you.
Right on, everybody. You guys all have an absolutely fantastic rest of the night. And like I said, hopefully we'll see everybody tomorrow night and keep the party going. So until then, you guys have a great one and we'll see you soon. Be easy.